All right, we're back on the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. We go to the phones, and joining us this morning, GOP political strategist Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing great. Appreciate you joining us today. There's a lot going on. I want to get into some polling numbers first, because the NBC Wall Street Journal poll that is out, it has some good news, bad news. It's kind of a mixed bag, as always, for President Trump. His approval rating is at about 45%, but the majority of voters, right around, I guess, 50%, maybe a little bit higher than that, approve of the way he's handling the economy. When you're looking ahead to the midterm elections, what does that tell you? Can you take anything away from that when the majority of people like how the president is handling the economy? How much does that play into 2018?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, one of the big questions about the fall midterms is, what issues are going to be in the minds of voters when they go vote? And obviously, in midterms, the economy plays a huge role. Pocketbook issues play a huge role. And one of the challenges the Democrats have right now is in some ways they're sort of rooting against the success of the economy, because they know the stronger the economy is, the better the political circumstance is for Republicans and for President Trump. And I think that's, to a great extent, why his approval rating continues to tick upward. A year ago, Chad, he was in the 35 to 38% range in job approval, and now if he's up at 45, that's a significant improvement, moving up 10 points, moving into a range that is pretty historically common for a president at this point, and it gives Republicans a chance to hold the House and perhaps gain seats in the Senate. And so, one of the big questions is going to be, will the economy remain strong throughout the rest of the fall? Obviously, there are questions about what these trade actions are doing, if it will see that affected in the economic numbers. There's a new gross domestic product number that will be announced on Friday. There's some speculation that quarterly growth will be above 4%, which is something President Trump has long talked about as a goal. And if that's true, I think that will be a powerful statement on Friday. And so, we're going to have to kind of see how all these things play out. But sure, if Trump is in strong shape, and of course Republicans also are in strong shape on the economy, and if the economy is, let's say, the main or one of the main issues in the midterms, that's going to be politically beneficial for Republicans.
The media outrage over everything that President Trump does, whether it's warranted or not warranted, does that rally the Republican base in the midterms, you think?
Yeah, no question. There's no question that Democrats are, going pretty extreme, and they're being driven there by their base to go as far left as possible. You're now hearing Democrats openly describe themselves as socialist and propose policies that are pretty extreme, abolishing ICE and sanctuary cities and all kinds of things. And I think that's not really where the mainstream heart of the country is. And so, if Democrats could sort of control their urges and just be more of a mainstream party, they might be in a better political position than they're likely to be this fall, where you're going to see them probably take some pretty extreme positions. You have Democratic candidates who've already pledged to impeach Trump, even though there's been no evidence yet that the campaign colluded with Russia in a way that affected the election. And so, look, Democrats are obviously very, very unhappy about the direction of the country, and they despise this president, and they're committed to doing everything they can to end his presidency as soon as possible. It's important to keep in mind that those are the stakes in this midterm. If the Democrats take the House back, they're going to move to impeach Trump very quickly. They're going to drown the White House in investigations with subpoena power in the House. They're going to shut down his legislative agenda. This is all going to matter. It's going to really paralyze him in the final 2 years of his first term, and it's going to affect the direction of the country and the things that he wants to accomplish based on what he promised to voters.
Can the Democratic Party, with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, being the new face and really declared the new face by the Democratic chairman, the new face of the Democratic Party, she teamed up with Bernie Sanders in Kansas, of all places, over the weekend. Can they go back to the middle? Can they swing that way? Because it just seems like the entire momentum right now behind the Democratic Party is now going towards democratic socialism.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing a pretty significant battle inside the Democratic Party right now. And I think in some ways you're going to see it really open up in the presidential nominating period beginning early next year when 15 or 20 Democrats try to win the nomination. You're going to see a pretty significant battle there. But you do still have some states that have August primaries, including some congressional races where some incumbents are being challenged by similar candidates to Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, who are running on leftist platforms aligned with Bernie Sanders. And so, yes, the split of the Democratic Party is very real. Obviously, all Democrats appear to sort of despise Trump and want to go after him. But the question is going to be, what do Democrats stand for, and what is their platform for the fall? And if it's pulled to the left, that's going to make it harder, I think, for them to win those suburban districts, those swing districts in the middle of the country that they're going to need to take the 23 seats back that will be required to take back control of the House.
Matt, what is one or two of the big statewide news stories that you've been looking at lately?
Well, I guess first I'd say, the absolutely lackluster fundraising of the Democratic candidate for governor, Lupe Valdez, the former Dallas County sheriff. She doesn't have enough money to run for Congress, probably not even enough money to run for state Senate, let alone enough money to run for governor at the top of the ticket for the Democrats. She's really been just an absolute mess of a candidate. So that's one thing to watch. There's going to be, I think, a drag top of the ticket because I think the governor, lieutenant governor, the other statewide are likely to win by large margins. Now, a lot of the attention is on the Senate race, on Ted Cruz and Beto O'Rourke. It appears they're likely to debate perhaps more than once this fall, and that will be a very interesting thing to watch. Beto is certainly raising more money than I would have expected that he would raise, but he doesn't appear to be moving to the middle to try to attract, soft Republicans and independent voters, which is what he would need to do to make the race competitive. So, those two things, stand out. And I think finally, Chad, I would just say, keep in mind, not every seat is competitive. A lot of races in Texas this fall are not competitive. In some races, Democrats, particularly Democratic congressional candidates, are raising significant amounts of money, and that is one factor. But ultimately, you've got three races for Congress that are competitive. You've got one, probably, maybe two state Senate races that are competitive. And you've got maybe 10 or 15 or perhaps 20 at most state House races that are competitive. Everything else this fall is ultimately not going to be competitive. And so you're going to see millions of dollars, out of whatever that would be, almost 200, more than 200 races between Congress, state Senate, and state House. You're going to see millions of dollars expended in about 30 of those seats this fall.
Matt, tell folks how they can sign up for your newsletter and also what your latest podcast is over.
Yeah, we do a morning newsletter for the state of Texas. We take all the news, put it in one email, and deliver it to your inbox every weekday. We have 3,000 people subscribed. It's called Must Read Texas. You can sign up at mustreadtexas.com. It's a great product that people really enjoy and benefit from. My podcast is called Mac on Politics, and it's available in the iTunes Store, on Google Play, and on Stitcher. Last two episodes, we talked to the former U.S. Attorney General Alberto Gonzales about the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. And then most recently, we talked to a former senior analyst at the CIA named Sue Muteri about North Korea, and she had some incredible insight. It was a very, very intelligent conversation. You can find that podcast anywhere you find podcasts.
All right. Very nice. Matt, as always, appreciate your time, and we'll visit with you next week.
Have a great week. Stay cool today. It's a hot one out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You as well. That's Matt Mackowiak. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Mackowiak.